Hi, everybody. This is Lee, and I'm talking about Bernie Sanders and his visit to McDowell, West Virginia. Bernie Sanders paid a visit to the residents of McDowell County, West Virginia, for a town hall with Chris Hayes on MSNBC. And he reconnected with some old friends and admirers from his previous visits there during the 2016 Democratic primary. Bernie Sanders prevailed in West Virginia during the 2016 primary. He actually did outstanding against Hillary Clinton. The reason being that there was populist sentiment in West Virginia that was not represented whatsoever by Hillary Clinton's campaign. She could not connect with the people of West Virginia, but Bernie Sanders did, and he still does. The problem is that after Bernie Sanders was defeated in the primary, that Hillary Clinton went on to lose West Virginia and then the election. And so West Virginia turned to the next so-called populist in line, and that was Donald Trump. The problem is that Donald Trump was pretending to be a populist. He wasn't really a populist. He was just saying populist things. He spotted a winner in Bernie Sanders and figured out, well, the way to get Bernie Sanders voters is to pretend to be Bernie Sanders. Hillary Clinton didn't even bother to try, so that was her mistake. But Donald Trump spoke the language. People believed him. They voted for him. And then now we see, maybe a month and a half into his presidency, that he was not ready to fulfill his promises that he made. He did dead the TPP, and we can give him that. But on many other issues, he backtracked and then just failed to come through. People voted for Donald Trump for jobs, for infrastructure, for economic uplift, for an end of military overspending, and then a refocus on domestic spending. And that's not what's happening. I mean, they even voted for him because he said the states should decide on medical and marijuana, and then that's getting kind of dicey with Jeff Sessions. And so people are realizing that Trump is not what he said he was during the 2016 election. And that's seen even with the Affordable Health Care Act that Trump endorsed, which is the very opposite of the health care package that he said he wanted for America. Even in his book that he wrote like years ago, he said we should have a single payer system. We should have universal health care. And he said, during the election, we should have universal health care. We want everyone beautifully covered. Everyone should have health care. And that's not what the Republican package is. What it is, and Bernie Sanders explained this very clearly, it's Obamacare light. It's a way of continuing to transfer money from the poor and give it to the rich, the oligarchy, the insurance companies, in a form of tax breaks, things like that. And so, more people will be without health care coverage underneath this new Republican plan than even under Obamacare, which was itself a flawed product. And that was the difficulty in defending it. Everyone knew it was a flawed product. Why would someone defend a flawed product rather than say, you know what, let's go one better, which is Medicare for all? And so there's partisanship, there's toxicity with both of those packages. Um, People do not want Obamacare. People do not want Ryan Trump care. People want something that's better, that responds to their needs. Right now, we've got people turning to GoFundMe in desperation to get assistance with paying their health care costs, because even Obamacare It's not giving them the access to health care that they need. The premiums, they can't keep up with those. The deductible, when they can do the premiums, even the deductible is too high. The copay, some people can't even do that. And so there's huge out of pocket expenses, and just people just, you know what? Do I have to sell my house in order to keep my cancer ridden child alive? Do I have to be homeless in order to? I mean, this is ridiculous. And so people are even now asking for help all across the United States and around the world, asking for help with their health care to pay for it with GoFundMe and other fundraising methods. When, what we really need is Medicare for all, a same kind of concept where we all pay into the system with a small tax rather than that goes directly into actual health care rather than a high premium where we have the health insurance companies skimming off like the most part of that the money and then even providing low quality health care in return. And so, Bernie Sanders has gone into West Virginia to explain these things. And even the fact that even under Obamacare, the ACA, that there were black lung benefits that were transferable to the surviving spouse. Under the Trump Ryan care package, not so much. And these things are being explained, and people are starting to realize the horror show that this new healthcare package is. And so Bernie Sanders might be taking steps into the long game, and hopefully he will, change enough hearts and minds to where people might say, you know what, everyone does deserve health care as a right. When he mentioned that, people applauded him. And that's wonderful that, there's education and outreach on the possibility of universal health care. Maybe even hopefully someday going a step further and just saying, you know what, let's just do Medicare for all because, Obamacare, that's, there's too many flaws. And then this horror show that's the Ryan care is unacceptable. And so I'm also hoping to do some Medicare for all outreach myself in some conservative states. That was why I was investigating GoFundMe, just to see what the medical concerns with expenses were. And there's a sizable number of people attempting to fundraise for medical expenses. It's a serious issue, and it's crossing, from the poor, all, through the middle class, and then even people, considered upper middle class who just cannot keep up with the medical expenses. And so, like schools, like roads, like bridges, like emergency services, like police and fire, libraries, Medicare, medical costs or healthcare. Many people want to consider that a public good, and Medicare for All is the way to do that. So I'll leave links in the description. You see Bernie Sanders speaking to the people in West Virginia. And then also I'm going to try to leave a link to the GoFundMe so you can see like people are, what people have, had to resort to due to the inadequacies of the Affordable Care Act, that they still have to ask for help with their health expenses. And then I'll also put in a link to John Conyers' bill, the HR 676 expanded medical and Medicare for All Act that he's come up with. Hopefully that might be sent to the CBO for a score. That would be nice. But in the meantime, we'll see what Bernie Sanders plans in the Senate side. Good luck.